Buffalo Soldiers and the Western Frontier. Buffalo Soldiers and the Western Frontier by Emily Raabe. The Buffalo Soldiers. Buffalo Soldiers were African American soldiers in the United States Army. They served in the western part of the United States from 1867 to about 1896. Their orders were to fight against Native Americans. Native Americans named these men Buffalo Soldiers because they thought that the troops were brave and strong like the buffalo. African American soldiers in the Civil War. During the Civil War, many freed African American slaves joined the Union Army. However, these African American soldiers were not allowed to fight alongside white Union soldiers. After the Civil War ended, the U.S. government created several African American Army groups. Two of these were the 9th and 10th Cavalries. Now you know. About 186,000 African American soldiers were in the Civil War. About 38,000 of them died. Buffalo Soldiers in the West. In 1866, the 9th Cavalry was formed in New Orleans, Louisiana. The soldiers were sent to Texas to guard settlers. Many settlers in Texas were fighting Native Americans. Native Americans were angry because people were moving onto their land. The Buffalo Soldiers fought against Native Americans so that the settlers could feel safe. Now you know. The men joined the 9th Cavalry for 5 years and were given a room, food, and $13 a month. The Buffalo Soldiers of the 9th Cavalry also guarded stagecoaches and the mail carriers who rode on horseback. Mail carriers and stagecoach riders were often attacked by robbers and Native Americans. The 10th Cavalry was formed in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, in 1866. These soldiers guarded the mail and protected settlers too. The 10th Cavalry also explored over 34,000 miles of new territory in the West. They found water holes for settlers to use during the long trips through the deserts of the Southwest. They also discovered new places where cattle could feed. The 10th Cavalry built more than 300 miles of new roads and laid over 200 miles of telegraph lines. They built settlements in the wilderness that later became towns and cities. A Buffalo Soldier's Life. The life of a Buffalo Soldier was hard. The soldiers worked 7 days a week, all year long. The 4th of July and Christmas were the only 2 days of rest they were given. Buffalo soldiers traveled through the western deserts for up to 6 months at a time. They often rode 1,000 miles doing their job in a land with very little water. Battling strong winds and rainstorms made their work even harder. Some white Army officers, such as George Armstrong Custer, refused to work with African American soldiers. Also, many white settlers did not like the Buffalo Soldiers because they had a different skin color. Fighting people's unfair feelings and ideas was not easy for the Buffalo Soldiers. Making a difference. The brave African American soldiers of the 9th and 10th Cavalries proudly fought for the United States. The Buffalo Soldiers were given some of the hardest jobs in the Army. The work of the Buffalo Soldiers helped open the West to American settlement. 14 Buffalo Soldiers received the Medal of Honor, the highest award given to soldiers in battle. The end.